So this is what the fish is most likely going to look like when he's all rigged. I have, in this case, I actually have 5 fish. Yes. So I have 5 different fish here, and they're all rigged so that basically they automatically move. Okay, they don't move forward and backwards, but they do. Their fins do flap. So when I hit play, you can see I've even rigged like their jaw to open up and close. And you'll see that their dorsal fin is flapping side to side. This fin is going. This fin is going. Oops. This fin is waving. These are waving. Okay? So it's all automatic in how this is set up. And that's the idea, because if we animate a school of fish, we don't want to have to go through and set keyframes for the dorsal fin to move side to side. We don't want to have to set keyframes for the tail fin to move side to side. We want to have control over it, but we don't want to have to literally go through and set a bunch of keyframes. So I have up here, this is my main controller. Okay, and this is like what I showed last time, our way that we can control all these different things. Let me switch this back to nice names. So here's my left pectoral fin, which is this one right here. So when I hit play, you'll see that his left pectoral fin does definitely kind of wiggle a little bit. If I change this number, you'll see that that changing it from 1.5 to 5 makes that fin flap a lot faster. If I change it to 0.05, it goes like super slow. Okay, so that's the idea with these, is that we want to have some way to control all of these kind of automated actions. If I go to his tail, we have the same kind of setup. So here's 1.5, here's 5. Here's 10. I can't go to 10. It's too much. Here's 0.05. Here's 0.1. Here's 2. Okay. And that was basically how I got each of these fish, whoopsie, to move differently. You'll see this one's all at 2. This one's all at 1.5. This one's all at 1.5 also. Move the same. Oh, his mouth is off. Yep. So his mouth is a little bit different. This one's at 4. This one's at 3. Okay.
Do they sing?
They do sing. When my kids are in the room, I make them talk to them and tell them to do their homework and go to bed. It's a whole situation. Now you'll also see that each fish has a different texture to them. Okay. So what I did was, once I painted the texture for one of the fish, I brought that picture into Photoshop and I just tweaked it. I just changed some of the color on it and then saved it off and put it back onto another fish. Photoshop. Now this was kind of a neat way in how it got set up. This is using Mari, or Mari. One of the things that Mari will do for you automatically when you create multiple textures. Okay, so with our fish, we basically just have one texture. We just have one square that the texture is lined up in. But Mari can actually go through and line it up multiple textures side by side. So I'll show you how I did that. And if you don't want to do it that way, if you decide to do something like this, then you can do it a different way. P drive, Sarcona, 2540, work, fish, source images, PSD, there you go. All right, so here's the texture that I got out of here from Mari. And what I ended up doing was just putting a hue and saturation on it and just adjusting the hue and saturation to get different looks for my fish scales. That was it. Okay? So you can very quickly get a different look to your fish just by simply adjusting the colors of the fish scales themselves. Now I left, if you look at the eyes, I left the eyes alone. I didn't adjust any of the eye colors at all because I wanted these to stay the same color. So I just have a little mask on here, and that mask is painted in black so that the eyes don't turn purple too. So I just painted it with black to say that, don't change the color of the eyes. So I saved out each one of those different color variations as the name. So when you come out of Mari, your file is going to be called color.0 or color.1001. Okay? So I named my next one 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Now what that means to Maya is that if I go to my UVs, this right here is 1001. If we were to go to the next square, this one would be 1002, then 3, then 4, then 5. So what happens is I assign this material just like I do any other material. I grabbed my fish. Where's number 1? Right here. I grabbed my fish. I assigned a Mila to it. I went to the color and I connected number 1 to it. Then I came down here and said, I got these textures from Mari. Generate a preview. So what it does is it goes through and it finds those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it finds all 5 of my textures and it puts them right here inside of my UV layout. So you see how each texture is side by side. So if I decided that I wanted this fish here to have a different texture, all I have to do is move these UVs onto one of these other spots. Now to be accurate about it, what I do is I go to shell, I marquee it all, and then way over here on the right, I type in 1, and then I tell it the direction to move them. So now if you look, he has this bluish texture. If I click on him again, go to shell, scoot it over, now he has a greenish texture. So if you have a lot of items with basically the same attributes but different colors, it's a very easy way to do that. So now I'm dealing with only one material, just my fish material. And if I decide to put a bump on him, I'm only putting it on one item. I'm not putting it on 5 different items. If I need to adjust the bump, I adjust it once. I don't adjust it 5 times. Okay? So there's all my little fish lined up. Now, how I did the mouth. This is kind of like a neat way that they've changed in 2016 extension 2. They keep adding new stuff in here and making a lot of really cool things with their tools. So what I did here is, was that?
Booleans?
No, I didn't use booleans. Killing me. I'm just going to duplicate this fish over here. So right now this fish has no animation. When I hit play, nothing happens to him. Okay? So under my animation editor, there's this thing called the pose editor. Okay? And the pose editor, making sure, sorry, shape editor, wrong one. The shape editor is what I want here. Do, and do. Okay. So the shape editor is going to allow me to basically create different shapes of my character and then blend between the different shapes. So let's say I wanted my fish to blink. I could make a shape where he blinks. So I'm going to say, let's create a blend shape. So there's my blend shape. And I'm going to add a target into this. Okay? So this target is basically like, what do you want this fish to do? So when I'm on here, I could make him do anything. So what I did to get his mouth to close is I went in here and I grabbed all of these faces. One more, like that. Yep. And then I just went like this. Just close it, pull it up. Okay, so that's what I want him to look like when his mouth is closed. So now I have a slider. So now it's just that. It's just blending between this shape with his mouth open and that shape with his mouth closed. I'll add another target. I want him to blink. So I'm going to grab these here. And this is not how fish blink. This is just my little demo of how fish blink. And then we'll grab these. And I'll grab these. And then however much time you spend on these things, obviously the better it's going to look. This is not going to look terribly wonderful. Okay? So now you'll see how that fish is blinking. And then this one is opening his mouth. And you'll see that they work together too. So I could open his mouth and blink.
So how does it know when you're done with your manipulation? Because
No, I just edits off.
Oh, okay.
There we go. So you can add a bunch of targets for this kind of thing. Now before, what we used to have to do is we would basically have like one shape for every single thing that we would want to manipulate. So if I wanted to take my fish and have him blink, I would duplicate my fish and I would blink one eye. I would like close one eye. And I wanted to blink the other one, I would duplicate the fish again, I would close the other eye. I would duplicate it again to get his mouth closed, I would duplicate it again to get some other stuff. So by the time you're done, you ended up with a whole bunch of different shapes inside your scene. So here's an example of a character with blend shapes in Maya version 2016 before the extension was added, before this new workflow was created. It's gorgeous, isn't it? There it is. Okay, so you see every one of these different facial features. So here is both eyes closed, one eye closed, the other eye closed. This one is his lips. Looks like they're kind of pursed together. His mouth is open. His lips are really puckered. Okay, so every single one of these is basically a duplicate of this head. And then you would have to take all of these duplicates and apply them to your character. So this basically bloated your scene and created some pretty crazy stuff inside of it to make it work. So imagine something like Shrek or Toy Story or any of those other movies where you had a dozen characters in the scene, all of them with a big complex set of features on that they had to manipulate. Okay, but this is really sweet how they've done this. So I can add another one here, let's say, and just go very quickly and just grab stuff. And then just manipulate some of these points. There we go. Now on all of your stuff, you can't delete the history for it. So if I were to go through and delete history on this, it would be a no good thing. Okay. But what I can do is I can use my mesh tools and I can use my sculpting tools. So if I go to my smooth tool and I shrink my size down to like 1, shrink my strength down to like 12.1, and maybe 2. There we go. Maybe a little bit bigger on the size. There we go. Now I'm just kind of softening that transition just so it doesn't look so chunky. There we go. And so now my fish is going to go like that, whatever that is. Okay, so that's just a quick way to be able to add some little extra animation to it.
You had like a character and you wanted to like have like just like a bank of pretty much expressions that they can go from one to another. Do you have to like save out each one of these?
No, I would have, this is my character. I would just make a new target, put what I want it to look like. So if I want him to look like, you know, confused, then I could just add a target and make his face look confused. Now, a lot of things are built on other targets, so it's not like you need to make the entire face look confused. It's more about having the controls to like squish the eyebrows in and to like raise this eyebrow up a little bit and tweak all those things. So as long as you have those controls, you can get to it.
So if you had like a confused face that you modeled and then you wanted to bring it into like another scene, would you be able to do that if they had the same controls for the same character?
No, you'd have to rebuild those in there. Before on regular 2016, you could have like one face that's confused and one face that's not confused, and you could use a blend shape between them. Now you don't need to do that. Now you can just make one face and then add a target and just change it however you want it. It'll automatically update. Now it does matter too that you have the same kind of geometry. So if I took a cube like this and then I went to my shape editor, wish that wouldn't open all the time, create a blend shape, add a target. Okay, so this will work. If I add another target and then I say I need more divisions, and then I start, come on, inserting edge loops, and then I start extruding stuff, you'll see that this doesn't do anything. If I grab vertices and move them, that doesn't do anything. This kind of does something. Okay, so that one doesn't do anything because it's basically I've broken it. Okay, so whatever end geometry you need, you have to kind of have that at the beginning. So like on my fish, whoops. On my fish over here, I really don't have a lot of divisions around the eye. So if I wanted to make him look like he's blinking, I need more divisions around the eye to do that. Okay, I would actually have to go through and probably add in another edge loop here and maybe add another division there in order to create enough points so that when his eye does close, it doesn't look like it's stretching, it looks like it's actually blinking. Okay, that's why in a lot of these I have enough divisions where I have enough room to add that kind of tweaking stuff in there. Cool. All right, so obviously you don't have a mouth opening on yours. I just wanted to show that because at some point you may need or want to be able to do that kind of thing. But by the end of your fish rig, you should have one of these at least that you can hit the play button and he'll just move. Ignore the mouth, he'll just move like that. Okay, and we'll have controls for each one of his fins moving. Make sure they're not moving the same direction. So if both of his side fins are moving, they're both not going like this, because that doesn't make sense. They should be moving kind of like in mirror to each other. What? It was symmetrically. Yeah, it was. Twinning?
There's a word
twinning. That's what we're talking about? Yes. Yeah, we don't want twinning on there either. You even see here these two are moving a bit different. Now, just so you can see how I did mine, I did everything in the expression editor. So there's all my expressions. And the only thing different from what I showed last time when I went over this is this thing right here, which is sine. Okay? This is basically just like a sine wave that we had in math class. It's something that's going to vary the value of this from -1 to +1. That's all it's going to do. And each one of these things that's all they need to do. So for my bends back here, this curvature should be going from -1 to +1. That's all it does, just back and forth. That's all I want it to do, just like a clock ticker. So what I did is I used a sine wave. Okay, so I said, based on the sine of time, do this stuff, and then multiply it times 12. Okay, so in the, even though I didn't go over this in class, I have a lecture where I walk you through, here's all these different ways to rig the fish. So it's a second video on Canvas that you can go through and see all the stuff. Okay, again, the end of it, you're going to pick how you want to rig it, but he needs to be rigged in a fashion where if I came over and hit play, he'll do this. Because at the end of the assignment, we need him to be able to do that automatically. I want to be able to put him on a curve and just have him swimming along without me having to set any keyframes at all. Okay, so by the time we're done with this, this is what he's going to, what one of our fish is going to be doing. Make a curve. All right, so there's my curve. I'm going to grab one of my fishy, put it on here, and go to constrain, attach to motion path, time slider. There he is. And I just need to switch his front. Woo! There he goes. So now you can see he's swimming along, and his mouth is moving, his fins are flapping, and I've set 0 keyframes. All of it's done with expressions and just a couple button clicks. Okay? And then at the very, very end of this, we'll have this guy swimming, plus we'll have a whole school of fish also swimming. So he won't be alone. Cool? All right.